So, to some of that right there, like I will say, I believe, and bear in mind, I just came in
I
as an
know.
interim, and now I'm just getting into the permanent role here. There's lots of things we have to look at and look at what our return on investment is, and see what we're actually getting for what we're putting out there. So, I think that's going to be things we have to review all throughout the district going forward. So we know that that's going to help us get to that amount as well as we start to go through and say like, okay, is this really being used the way it's supposed to be? Is this really being used effectively and efficiently? And if not, then we have to make those questions as well. So I think that's all things that we have to look at going forward.
Okay, I mean, obviously, I'm not stating I want anybody to lose their job,
Yeah.
but I feel the teachers are the meat and potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that maintenance isn't as well. And I just want to add, I know you had to get it out there, but talking to other colleagues and you talk about wanting to up us with our mental health and help us out. I think going on break for you to do that meeting when you did, and we went on break, if you think that teachers were not thinking the whole time they were off, worrying about what is going on, especially for us at preschool, because it made it sound we weren't even on that PowerPoint presentation. So it made it sound we're wondering, are we going to be closed for a year? What are you going to do with us? So I just want you to think about that. I don't think that should ever happen again before we go on a break. Thank you.
Thank you.
Piggybacking on her, my name is Courtney Anderson. My address is 715 West 7th Street, Monroe, Michigan. Recently moved. I lived in Taylor for 12 years before that. I find this very interesting because while she said that you guys gave us this task over break to think about, to me that's disgusting to start. And I find it interesting that you're all up there smiling before this whole meeting while we're all sitting here freaking out. A little bit disrespectful to our faces. So I'm going to point out and say that. While I looked on break, though, I'm actually glad you gave me 2 weeks because I'm a researcher. I like researching things. And Kyle, you said at one point when you were running that the district need to be held accountable for their choices. And this was in your running campaign. I could pull it up. It's not verbatim. And yet you guys are saying that as of right now, they've done nothing illegal in the past. However, the ESSER grant money, because I looked into it, because there are these two tiny little icons that sit on the district page, like most parents know what that even is. Nobody even knew you could click on that. So that's kind of sad. Said that it was for, and this is what Griff Mills wrote, was for face-to-face learning, ELL, homelessness, foster children, mental health. None of those things at all mentioned salaries or putting in new positions, moving Marianne Sear from assistant superintendent over to the COVID person. That was nice. So you hired in another position and then had to hire somebody else as the assistant superintendent. Then you hire in security. You hire in security that's not even trained. They know nothing about ALICE training. They are given a pamphlet, and I've asked our security. They were given a pamphlet. So now you've got a bunch of basically adults like me running around the school saying that they're going to protect us. I don't really feel safe. Then we have the fact that you guys have 3 dean of students as well. One of which you just hired in at like $90,000, but we're close to being in debt and all this. And then on top of that, there's 4 principals at the high school. 4. That was interesting to me. So then we talk about moving the preschool. While we all know we're the stepchildren, we're fully aware of it, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We know that we're the last. We're not technically a required school to go to, so we know how you guys feel about us. If we move, you will move us from a 4-star rating program that Lee McKenzie worked for years because we were on probation when she came in because of Amy Fessler to get our program where it is today. And we're the stepping stone for you guys. If you didn't have us, good luck with the kids that are coming in, because I'm telling you, I've got 4 kids in this district, and I'm honestly worried with the new ones coming in because they're all COVID babies. She did touch on not having enough classrooms. Let me see. Also, our IDEA grant that we get at the preschool is meant for special ed to be kept with their age students so that they can integrate. So just think about that. And no, the bond money was not used for demolishing those buildings because I have looked at the bond. It was allocated $1.5 million, and like you said, around $1 million to be used for these schools. There was furniture that was supposed to be purchased as well. Where'd that go? That's interesting. Also, the exact allocated amounts of the ESSER grant, I could not find exactly what it was used for. I tried to call the CFO before break, who did not answer the phone, to get some clarification on that. So I could do more research. I also want you guys to be aware of, and I found this extremely interesting. Have you guys looked into Plant Moran? Do you guys know that they have a lawsuit against them? Do you know that people bought cemeteries from another person and hid those fundings?
So I don't mean to cut you off. I know that but we are at time, and I do want to respect the people that are behind you.
That's fine.
So
Other
if we
people
could just-
talked after
I know.
their time, so
If
it's
we
fine.
could just, I'll let
I'm
you
just
wrap it
saying.
up.
This is my last thing, and I'm done.
We're gonna stick to the 3-minute rule because we do have an entire online audience as well. So I do want to give them
People here.
online audience.
That's fine.
So
Just know that. You might want to look into Plant Moran, that's all I'm saying. We're going to be using them for our pod.
Good evening, Caroline Pat, 6860 Jackson. It's my turn, thank you. Isn't one of the reasons combining the schools is because of the percentage of capacity in each one of the buildings? Like we have a lot that are 60%, 70%. Is it the state that says we have to have at least 80%? Or is it 90%? I believe it's 80, isn't it?
80% is the
And that was one of the
recommendation.
reasons, that's why you're talking about trying to combine the buildings
Yes.
together, right? Okay, I just wanted to throw that out there. I have a question in regards to the buildings that you're talking about after the students are moved and about being demolished. Randall and Taylor Parks for two, excuse me. Have you thought about selling the property with the building on it? Or did you want to keep property and do the green space like you did with Bartlett, Old Racco, and Monroe School, and excuse me, and maybe even Eureka Dale at the time? I know the buildings, people think that the buildings are really bad, but I think like Randall Building is right. I don't know if the church next door would take it. I'm losing my voice, sorry. And I don't know if there's any stipulations on selling any of those two buildings especially. Just curious, I just want to throw it out there that maybe you could sell the property with the building on there, not have to worry about demolition cost, and you would be getting money coming in. The other thing is, if I know you had talked about before with the PRC and the IT department coming over here, and I know you mentioned about the doors and things. So we were kind of looking at the high school. Once the two junior highs are together, the high school will be empty and it'll be used as a athletic facility, correct? Are you talking about maybe tearing some of that down? I know this is not etched in stone, but I'm just throwing this out there. Because if possible, they already have garage bays over there. And what a short distance to move the IT department right across the parking lot into a certain area of Truman and be able to use those doors right there for their high-lows and their, pallets of computers, Chromebooks. I was involved with the Chromebooks when everybody was on Zoom, and there were just tons and tons of pallets of Chromebooks in that building. So I think that's what, Bill was talking about. If you come over and see what's in that building, you'd be shocked to say it's not just guys in an office with their computer and Bill at the print department, with his machines.
Yeah.
Come over and actually see what's in that building. You would say, maybe we better not bring it over here because I don't know where we're going to put it. But I like the idea of the bay doors already there. And if you're not going to use that building, then leave the IT and the print department where it's at until the middle school is put into that building.
Yeah.
And then even, excuse me, even think about, we're not getting our auditorium, or our pool, but maybe even use that facility, and I don't know how much it would cost or what the square footage or anything would be, as maybe that could be where our auditorium would be built. You have a sporting event here, and you've got our auditorium for graduations and that there too. Just some ideas to throw out to you guys. Thanks.
And to Ms. Pats, to answer the one question about the demolition with the school building and selling it, the issue becomes in in this community, selling a school building like that opens it up for a charter school to move in, and that is one thing we don't want to provide or open up. Specifically, probably 2 years ago, there was a church that reached out about purchasing Eureka Dale, and they submitted their plan, and it was to open up a private school on that end of Taylor. So leaving our buildings open, a lot of those companies, they have shell companies that buy them, and then they sell them off to the charter companies. And so what it just does is it opens it up to us having more charters be built in the city.
You just have to be careful, I know, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of
Yeah.
underground things going on. All right, thank you.
Thank you.